Hello, Life Sprout friends. Welcome to another Thought of the Week. I don't know about you, I've been having a whole lot of conversations about stress in the past week or two. I also have been feeling extra stress as our family is navigating some potentially very large changes, and I've had a lot of clients and patients coming in navigating a lot of stress. And so I wanted to share some thoughts on this because I hear either one of two things often in practice, and that is either I am so stressed and I don't really know what to do about it and I don't know how to deal with it, or I don't feel stressed. What's the stress thing you talk about, Dr. Alex? And I'm going to quickly share two client stories. One, both from when I was doing more coaching. Now I do kind of a combination of things, but emotional well-being and health and wellness coaching. I had this one client who during the pandemic had worked in Washington State, had worked for like the governor's office and in terms of health changes and all of that. And so she was like constantly in the changes and rollouts of all the different things that we dealt with during the pandemic. And as a result, she was pretty burned out. And so we had a conversation at one point early on in our journey. And she's like, she had a wearable and she's like, Dr. Alex, like my body's telling me I'm stressed even when I'm sitting down watching like Disney on, a Disney level PG movie on Netflix or something and binging. And so her body was just always in a state of stress. I had another client, we're going to tie these together, who came in and she was like, well, I don't have stress. And as we got to know each other better, I learned that she not only was a personal trainer and owned her own business and did a lot physically, but she also had a daughter with special needs who she spent a significant amount of time advocating for and fighting for her to get the best care that she possibly could. She didn't relate to that as stress. To her, that was just being a mom and part of life. But the way our bodies interpret stress and the way we think about stress are two entirely different things. And so when we primarily live in the society that is high paced, where we're inundated with stress all the time, on social media where you're watching this, on in what we consume, in the way we take care of ourselves, even exercise is a form of stress. It can be a good stress on the body, but what starts to really affect us is when we have long-term stress that turns into toxic stress. And this is where this thought of the week comes in, that it's not just happening in our head and it's not just about what we think, it's about how our body is responding to the situations that we're in. Fight or flight was designed for like when the bear is chasing us and we need to get away, and so it does all these things to us physiologically so that we can go into that fight or flight response. Our old brain system that controls and stimulates a lot of that doesn't have a way to differentiate, like I'm stuck in traffic with a bunch of people who don't know how to drive versus the bear is chasing me and trying to eat me. And so we can live and our baseline gets set in these constant states of stress. You're like, cool, what do I do about that? Well, number one, keep showing up for thoughts of the week, because I often give you tips and tricks and things you can start to do to actually undo some of the stress patterning in your body. You can reset your baseline. I've been through it. I had to learn it. I was in a really bad place about 5 years ago when I started this whole journey of figuring all this out. And even though I work in a profession where we talk about stress and talk about the stressors on the body, there was more to it. There's this emotional component that is a large part of why I started doing all the things I do in practice and not just adjusting, and definitely not just adjusting from a perspective of I'm in pain. That's a valid and real reason to see a chiropractor, but this is even bigger. So an adjustment can help kind of reset your system, and there's more that you need to do outside of that to really start to actually release stress from your body. So it can happen, and come back next week and we'll start talking about some of the ways that you can do that. All right, we'll see you then. Bye.